Welcome to Rabbit Holes with Aaron. I'm Aaron, and with me today, I actually have 4 guests on this episodes. And today with me, I have Travis, Heath, Kenneth, and Jeff. And so I remembered all their names. I'm going to let them introduce themselves in that order.
I'm Travis.
Turn this man up. Hey, everybody. Heath here again. Excited to be here and share some stories.
Come on.
And the old man's phone goes off. God damn, sir. You're that asshole in the church that I want to strike down like the Omega himself.
Can I have a fan?
Yeah, put it on vibrate, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, no, I'm putting it on the airplane.
Oh, even better. All right. Glad we got that out of the way. I love you.
I love you.
Jesus Christ.
I love you more.
Not possible.
Hey, my name's Kenny, and I'm from UNT. I met all these guys at ODS, and I got my master's in counseling. I was a Marine for 5 years, and in 2019, I started my wedding photography business. I chose the Catholic niche, so you can look me up on Instagram. It's my name, Kenneth, 1 year, and been engaged for a couple of years, and we're about to get married probably next year. And I love Jesus, love alcohol, love lifting weights, and I love running and CrossFit, powerlifting, all the stuff. And yeah, that's me in a small nutshell.
I had a friend with the last name Munyer. Is yours still spelled the same way that my friend's was? Because that's not a common name that people would know how to spell.
Right, so the spelling is Munyer, and it's traditionally pronounced Munier, which is Lebanese. So quarter Lebanese, quarter Italian, and half Mexican, but the American way is Munyer.
It's definitely not the same guy.
I would call that the perfect mixture. That's just me, though.
Okay. Jeff?
Jeff Ramey, I've been on here before. Owner of Corsair Coffee Company. Retired U.S. Navy veteran.
Awesome.
Gen X Series 1.
Is that all you guys wanted to say for your introduction?
I mean, again, you can just look at, the rest of us back on our other podcast. But again, we're going to be telling stories and people be like, oh, yeah, I got to remember this guy. So that way it saves time for the actual fun and stories. And I mean, hey, we know who this person is. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. That's what we're here for.
Okay. So with that, who wants to go first with the story?
Well, I mean, again, I think we should just preference on how this kind of came to be. So in this sense, as most people know, I live in Florida. So I actually just came from Vegas for a friend's wedding, which was phenomenal. And on my way back, I was like, I have to stop in Dallas. Again, yesterday was Mother's Day. So shout out to all the great moms out there who helped raise incredible patriots and just productive members of society. But then, obviously, when you're doing a trip, you want to try to get the most bang for your buck. So I stopped in here for a day or two, and I was like, well, I would love to see the guys. And then, obviously, was in touch with Aaron. I was like, hey, we've all done a podcast individually. What if we did a podcast all together and really just, again, have a moment or an afternoon for us to spend time together, but then again, to share stories, share some laughs for everybody listening. So that was kind of the preference of the idea of why we're here today. So again, we're also going to get into some stories and try not to laugh too hard. So people are just not it was just straight laughter the whole time. I couldn't even hear what they were saying.
Yeah, and we're going to go down some rabbit holes. So we're going to have plenty of time for that too. Thanks, Heath.
You're very welcome.
So, story.
I think we should talk about how we got Kenny to come in because, again, we all met each other at the same time. Kenny was, again, he came to college just a little bit after us. So let's let Kenny kind of tell, how he got into the fraternity and then his initiation, just kind of core memories and just what he recalls, and then we'll kind of go from there. I think that'd be a good starting point, and then we can segue nicely.
Okay.
So you guys are a first fucking date, just staring at the girls, tell me about yourself. And they're just I'm pretty. You're just anything else there? I'm pretty. You're cool.
Well, then maybe we shouldn't start with Kenny. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Kenny.
To be honest, I think he blacked out most of it. Therapy sessions.
Meditating, praying, going back to when I met you guys.
No, yeah, I love it. All in 30 seconds.
UNT. It was 2017. I just finished the associates at Collin College. I left the Marines in 2015, then did the schooling at Collin College in McKinney. The purpose of UNT for me was to get my bachelor's in environmental science, or ecology rather, to become a park ranger. Did that for a month, then I learned that I suck at chemistry. I also had a reversion type experience back to the Catholic faith, and that drew me to Denton And then after the ecology experiment, I learned that I was really drawn to helping other people, so I went into public health. So in doing that, I learned that the public health field, and this is just my experience, like it's probably not true, it seemed very impersonal. And during this time, I was deepening my faith and relationship with Jesus through the Fellowship of Catholic University Students, who are focused at UNT, where I met great guys like Matthew Schmerber, James Van Meter, and they all drew me deeper into the faith in a more masculine type sense in community. And so I changed the degree the third time to the Bachelor's of Science in Integrative Studies. And by then it was probably 2018. And I met Heath at the, entrepreneurship?
Yeah.
What was the professor's name? He was great.
His name escapes me. He was fantastic. He's like one of those professors that's been there 30 years. But again, just like a really, really nice guy. And that was actually like a really good class. Again, just trying to bring like your military experience. But again, in a sense, we all kind of have like that entrepreneur mindset. You want to go out there, create, and again, kind of have like the lasting effect. And then obviously like the class was like one of the ones was like 30 people. Because, some of them are like these massive classes. But we're in like this small, like kind of nice room that we're in now. And you just kind of look over, you're like, this guy seems to fuck. Like, let me go talk to him. And then just kind of, started exchanging stories. And I'm like, oh, dude, like, you're a veteran? Like, I'm a veteran. Yeah, you wear patriotic gear. They're like, yeah, he doesn't hate his country.
Or Heath and his fucking magnificent mustache. Like, obviously a veteran.
Blended in well with all the blue hair and purple hair people.
Dude, I always just say, I was like, you never seen a pretty blue-haired girl. And I was like, I stand on that business. Like, every time you look at me, you're just like, no.
But they do like to look at you. That's kind of the point,
It's
right?
the mustache.
One phrase that comes to mind from that professor was, "The world is your oyster," and that really stuck with me through the years. And I also remember his like a $1,000 crocodile alligator scale.
Yeah.
For not checking your balance in your bank, every day, like what are you doing? Like you have to stay locked in and continue the fight. But that's where I met Heath, and like I think I gradually sat closer and closer to you.
Yeah.
Trying to be nonchalant about it, just drawn to the fellow veteran.
Yeah, you're respectful. I'm not.
Did y'all eventually get like as close as you are right now?
No.
Tell us about the first kiss. Who leaned in first?
Well, he's shorter than me, so I had to come down to him.
Can we do a hand check?
So that's why I met Heath, right? In this awesome
Handshake.
class, and after changing degrees 3 times, and I invited Heath to church a few times. We did that, and that was wonderful. And he invited me to ODS. I mean, that's pretty much what happened. That was like the chain of events that led me to UNT, led me to the degree path, led me to the class, led me to Heath and ODS.
Nice. Okay. Well, and I thought too, we're just going back to brainstorming for a minute. Like, we could talk about how we got our ODS names. Those are some good stories. Because, I have to say this. I have to say this.
That's not good for.
I don't think the statute of limitations is worn out on that.
No,
No.
that's not good for Ken.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe he could make one up. I don't know. Maybe he has an alternative version.
How about you explain what the names are,
Or like just the preference on like how you get your
and then
name.
we can all say them and just let your
You can figure out who.
let your guests use their imagination.
Just throw it out there and let the audience try to decide what name fits what person.
That's a good idea. I like that. We'll go with that. But I was thinking about Kenny's story that he was just talking about, and I was like, well, we needed some love music or something. It was like nobody was laughing. It wasn't,
Jerry
jokes.
White is off in the distance.
I was thinking more like, let's get it on.
Some Marvin Gaye, yeah.
There we
Just
go.
Set the mood, candlelight, yeah. I'm telling you.
And you feel the
So I-
love tonight.
I'm just saying, y'all aren't the ones that have to sit next to them. Right
I
now.
know. I never got Travis's origin story.
You didn't?
No, I just remember him showing up like a homeless vet one day. Who is that guy over there?
That was like on the camping trip because again we were all on that one. Again, Kenny's was after that, but yeah. I mean, you want to tell yours or the gist or the well round?
It'll be short because Travis doesn't talk about himself much.
So
Travis
I
is a
am,
gentleman.
I am Captain No Fucks. Nice to meet you all.
We were
Fuck
supposed to be
you.
anonymous.
Salute.
I don't really remember who gave me my nickname. So obviously, like, right, first off, like number one rule of nicknames, you don't pick your own nickname.
Right.
So we had this tradition in ODS. everybody gets their ODS name, and you tell a story about yourself, something embarrassing, something funny, whatever. It can be anything, and then people pick their names for you. If there's one thing about my time in the Air Force, it was that it was really unremarkable. That's why I'm out now. Don't get me wrong, I loved my time in the military. I loved my camaraderie with all the people that I met. I loved leading and taking care of my airmen. Never got to deploy, never got to do any of the cool stuff that I signed up for. And I don't know, the only thing that came to mind when I started telling my story was how many LORs and LOAs and LOCs.
Those are not letters of achievement.
Yeah.
Letters of commendation.
You got a couple of them framed too, though. But I love that you did that.
And topped it all off with
We're proud
Article
of you.
15. And I was that guy that's like, I did my job really well. I was really good at it, and I also was really good at blowing off steam. So
Steamer tab, baby.
that's how Captain No Fucks came about. Is I just give no fucks. Also, I was an officer.
I'd also just say too, again, the sense where like, we're all just like a number in the government, or just like, a bolt or a nut wing or whatever in the grand scheme of the machine itself. But I'd always say like, no job is never like appreciated, even though I think we all have like that humbleness. You're like, oh, I wasn't really like, that cool, or my job was amazing. But like, you still, did a job. And again, that was one reason why we all came together, is because just like that camaraderie of just like, hey, we like to put other people before ourselves. And I think that's why this friendship and then, all of our stories are just that epic, is because we all have that as our foundation.
Also, you have your own story, but then you hear somebody else's story, and it's epic, right? I mean, so here's Captain O'Fucks over here in his story, and like, to me, he's telling his stories like the same old, but to me, it hits home, and I'm like, okay, he really doesn't. His field does lie barren where he grows all his, his fucks or whatever.
It's some of the things he's leaving out quite a bit, because you were in cyber warfare too, weren't you?
All right. Well,
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
For a while,
I didn't
you did
join the Air Force because I wanted to fly a keyboard.
Well, I know,
High
because
altitude,
one of the other
baby.
things,
Right.
one of the other
I
things you
wanted
did
to-
was like survival, like SEER school, survive, escape, resist, evade type thing. You did that too.
Yeah. But,
So yeah. So
I wanted to be a fighter pilot from the time I was about knee high to a grasshopper. I started working towards that when I was a kid. So my great grandfather was a World War II vet, Korean War vet, also a POW in the Korean War, captured by the Chinese for 9 months. So he was my role model. Wanted to follow him. Decided, when I was like 5 years old, I was like, I want to be a fighter pilot. Talking to grandfather, he was like, we were watching the Air Force Navy football game. I'm sure we won because
no.
Sink Navy.
Yeah.
I remember you didn't.
Jeff was there.
Hey, it's your story. It's your story.
Get this lie anyway, me or you.
we still have the most commandant's trophies, so we were watching Air Force Navy football game, and grandfather's like, well, if you want to be a pilot, that's where you need to go. And I was like, all right, well, I'm 5 years old. That's where I'm going to go to school, is Air Force Academy. So
Yeah.
And
didn't
you
know
did.
much about it.
Yeah.
And,
It's incredible.
Started working my whole life towards that, and then got into Tiger Cubs because I knew, like, hey, if I want to go to the Air Force Academy, I need to be an Eagle Scout. So I'm like 5 years old, like, oh, I need to join Tiger Cubs so I can eventually become an Eagle Scout. I started worrying about my grades when I was like 5 years old. Started working out and trying to get on the sports team and everything, because I knew, like, hey, I got to have varsity letters if I want to be going to the Air Force Academy.
And that's
started
when
working
you-
with my church
That's when you
youth group.
realized that a cargo pilot isn't bad, right? Not such a bad thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I started working my whole life for this whole goal. This goal is the only goal that I had my entire life. And then got to 18 years old. I got into the Air Force Academy. Sorry, this is the only goal I've ever had.
Got that dad bod,
At one
baby.
time,
That's
I
it.
was
Lean, mean, fight machine. Also, I just like call back to your episode, because again, you talked about having fulfillment, or chasing down something, and you were talking about trying to encourage the younger, generation. So again, in that sense, like you did it, you had a goal. Now, right, things change, and we don't always get what we want, but sometimes,
Well, yeah, you can't sit around feeling sorry for yourself. I mean,
No.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
But then again, I feel like for all of us, like we're very, faith-based men. So again, sometimes you're like that one thing you really want so bad is not ultimately meant for you, but something greater is. But again, when you're in the valley, you don't always see it that way until you make it, and then you just kind of like have that moment of clarity. You're just like, oh, so that's what he was doing. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
To piggyback on that, what he said, that's absolutely correct. And sometimes it can be soul crushing if you don't get what you had your
Soul-crushing.
what you had your heart set on. It's like I wanted to play
Yeah.
guitar. My brother played guitar in bands. My cousin was a guitar instructor for the college. I bought a guitar, practiced all the time, could play a couple of chords, sat in a closet gathering dust. And my oldest son comes along and goes, "Hey, Dad, can I play with this?" And now my son plays guitar. And so sometimes that dream is not for you, it's for other people.
Yeah.
And you just kind of open the door for them.
It's funny that the same thing happened to me. I was in high school.
You tried to play guitar too?
Your son plays guitar?
I'm very hairy, so to start, I had a mustache in 6th grade.
And Catholic too. So Catholic too, no birth control.
None at all. No, raw.
Must have been a difficult delivery.
And
On
the top.
You cut the string for it?
No, I didn't cut.
Please tell your story. Come on.
I wish I had 2 more of these Dallas Blondes. But that said, my dad bought her a guitar. I was a freshman in high school, and she tried for a bit. She was doing good, and then stopped. And then, so for some reason, I picked up the guitar and started playing it and started learning it. And then I met a friend in high school. His name is Ryan, and he was just like at that point in time, and still now, even more so, he was like a guitar genius somehow. Bless him. Like he was very influential in my performance and growth in that area. So grabbed her guitar, started playing, met him, and then just went down that rabbit hole per se for the podcast. And it's something that I've kept with me. And what I've learned over the years is that when I get obsessed about a topic or a thing, that's like a signpost of the direction that God wants me to go in life. So, and that could be extrapolated into, like, for me, it was like the music and then the fitness, and then from there it could be the photography business, or my faith, or just on and on and on, like anything I get obsessed about. But that's what the story reminded me of, and to bring it back to Travis of how he went through his journey
To where he's now like the
Yeah, I
owner,
can,
owner manufacturer of T Code.
I can.
LLC.
Yeah, it's huge.
I can play. I can play Wonderwall on Novice on a Guitar Hero.
There you go.
I love this man. I've been blessed with a lot of things, musical talents, singing, playing any type of instrument. Nope, it's not there.
He does play the skin flute pretty well.
No.
You can't have looks, personality, and talent. Okay, you got to pick one.
Travis has it all.
Well, you're close enough to know over there.
I was gonna say, especially when Travis cleans up, he's a sharp-looking man. I tell you. I mean,
I prefer him burly, like right now.
yeah. Well, he's got his Dallas Stars playoff period going. So again, shout out to the Stars. But
Go
again,
Stars.
Travis is a huge Stars fan. So again, I mean, those games are electric too. So, but again, that's how Travis and his wife met, or that's where they met.
True story.
So again, which is epic. We all want that kind of like fairy tale. And so to meet somebody, at a sporting event, I mean, again, that's like.
Well, to be fair, we met online, but the first time we did meet was a sport.
But still, some people will be like, I'm not about sporting events, or right, and you're just like, well,
I
that's
was
not
never
going to work.
about online dating. I was
Well,
like, never meet my
Oh,
wife
when I first,
online.
Travis had like a phone. He had like a flip phone. I was like, hey, caveman, can we get a phone so I can, FaceTime you and do like, 21st century stuff? He's like, no, I fucking hate phones. So then here he is, and he like gets his online, and then he meets his wife, and then I'm over here like 2 years ago, I was like, I would have bet all my money, which wasn't a lot, that you would never meet somebody, quote unquote, online. But again, stranger things have happened. But again, it's fantastic because Travis is just a phenomenal human being. So the fact that he found his person and he spoke all the things into existence that we would have, stories and ideas over cigars and scotch, and just like, this is what I want in life. And right, as a friend, you chase that dream down with them too, because like they're your friend. You're like, you want them to succeed, and to watch him grow into that and achieve, the farmhouse and the job and the family. I mean, again, all by God, but again, just
Sure.
like You just stand in the back like you're a Shia LaBeouf. Just it's the best. Yeah. So again, I love it. And again, for all of our friends, right? So when you see them win, like you almost feel like you kind of have a part of the win because in a sense, like you have a little bit of skin in the game because you kind of go through it with them through the ups and the downs. But man, when they win, it's like it's the best feeling in the world.
I mean, I will say with my photography background, I was blessed by Travis and his wife to actually photograph their wedding, and that was such a huge responsibility, huge honor, huge blessing to me. And I hope I was a blessing to them.
I mean, like half the pictures had your thumb in them, but there we go.
Was it my thumb?
Was it really?
Hey, at least you got invited.
He did a fantastic job. For there that needs a wedding photographer or photographer.
But to echo,
Kenny's amazing.
To echo what Heath said, just like seeing the growth of Travis over the years, inspiring. I mean, he's a freaking father now. Like,
I know. Isn't it awesome?
Gosh, what a milestone.
And a great father at that too.
Yeah.
Again, Father's Day is coming up, so again, shout out to all the great dads. Jeff, Aaron, maybe Kenny and I will be dads one day, God willing.
Together.
Well, you got
We could pass the background
Go
check.
right to the adoption agency after you leave here.
I'm pretty sure, like as gay men, you can get them pretty.
Yeah. Making the full dollar too, so like we can cover the basis of all the expenditures.
Goodness.
You're making enough money now. You can
Yeah.
probably get on that.
all the women out there.
Yeah, what website is it, Travis?
All the women out there in the audio land are like brokenhearted now that Heath's coming out of the closet.
Dude, yesterday I was at the house and like I always try to like keep my tattoos from my mom, but like I had shown her, but my sister was like, "Oh, Heath has something to tell you," and she's like, "Heath's gay," and my mom like looks at me and I'm like, "No, mom," I'm like, "Relax," but like, yeah, my sister knows that. My mom's always like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
For those who may or may not understand veteran humor, you usually pick something that irritates that person and then you don't let go of it.
You go down the rabbit hole, 10 stories.
Every callback, every
If I'm
joke,
going
everything.
down, you're going out with me.
But again, like the dark humor too is like the best. But again, in a sense of way, it's like how we all kind of cope with just whatever that we've gone through. But again, it's just another reason why we're friends. But it's nice because like we have been around people where like you say something and they're just like that look of disgust and you're just like, okay.
But die.
Yeah, did you die? But I always try to tell people too, and like, nobody's perfect. But again, I feel like I've been obviously very blessed to have great friends. But I always say in the sense where like I would rather have somebody who is, rough off the cuff, not cut from like the same cloth. But when you need them, they show up because there are plenty of people who will say the right thing. They look nice, but when rubber needs to meet the road, nowhere to be found.
Right.
Yeah.
There's afternoon friends.
Yeah, and
There's
so like
midnight
in that
friends.
sense, you're like, well, that's not a true friend. That's not somebody that I want to continue to pour the water to watch grow, and vice versa. Like, yeah, is it nice to have people in social settings and stuff? But like again, when you really look at it, you're like, who can I call? Or like, they say like, who can you call with good news? It's easy sometimes to call with bad news, like, hey, I need help or whatever. But to call with good news, and then they'd be like, dude, I'm so happy. Now for you to be like, oh, just rub it in, or like, they're happy for you, but then they get off the phone, they're like, I hate that guy. Like, it just always seems to go, the ball bounces his way, and it's like, I thought you were my friend.
Yeah.
But again, like as we go through life, and so I just try to have that as a reminder for myself to like try to be that friend that you want other people to be, to be to you. So, and again, I think that's again why we're all here.
Yeah, when the chips are down, man, who are you going to call at 3 a.m. when you're walking through a neighborhood in Dallas after being to a
Sounds like a good. I don't know whose
driveway.
story this is.
Speaking of which, let's talk about the time that Heath got what are they lime scooters banned from Dallas. Good
There we
story.
go. Okay.
Oh, yeah, quote unquote.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah. So it was what 2020. Yeah, now
I
I'm
know
gonna
it was
have
Christmas, right? We all had Christmas. I vaguely remember Christmas.
No, because the Stars were playing. So because we were going to our friend's house for a Stars game, and
Sheridan, weren't we?
no, that was for my birthday. That was not the time I took it on 35.
That was the.
I almost flooded that bathroom though. I don't think I told you that. I went to like turn the shower on and like got caught talking. I go in there and the water's like to the brim, and we're on like the 27th floor, and I was like, oh thank God, because Travis would be like, why did I get added $30,000 to my seat? I'd be like, I don't know why. So dodge that bullet. Oh, that was for my 27th birthday. That was like right after I moved back.
Mhm.
But yeah, I remember that was a good night. But yeah, so we tried to go to a Stars game, and a buddy of ours was like, we're going to go to our friends. And they lived in like this really nice like hotel across from the AAC. And so we're like, we'll take bird scooters there. And so like the bird scooters. So then we try to take them on like, what is it, the Katy Trail there. So with like the GPS, like they know where it is. So like it slows down to basically it doesn't work.
This like a rental scooter.
Yeah. It's like, back
Put the coins in?
like
Or the
you scan the QR code, you have like your account, and then for how long you ride is how much they charge you.
Oh, cool.
Oh, it's terrific. A lot of fun.
Unless
How far was it?
How far was what the
From
Oh,
Pineapple
I would
Beach?
say it was probably like 3 or 4 miles, but in downtown Dallas, 3 or 4 miles is kind of like a hike,
Yeah.
So then he was like, well, we could cut through the Katy Trail, but then we found out, right, you can't take them on. So then after we're like pushing the scooter like an old school scooter, we get off and then it starts working again. And I don't know where we're going. Our buddy does. So I was like, well, I'll just follow you. But then I'm like, an 8-year-old kid riding this thing. So I like zip past him and I'm going and I have no idea where we're going. I'm just like, oh, just keep going. And then like I look back, he's nowhere to be found. So then I'm like, oh, so then like I come up on this road and I was like, well, I'll turn here. And then the next thing you know, I turn down this road and like I'm merging on the highway with the bird scooters. And so then I was like, well, this is obviously not right. And so I turn around and like go back. And then I finally run into my buddy. He's like, where did you go? And I was like, I ended up on the highway. And he's just like,
I'm crying.
good God. And so we finally make it to our friend's house. But like the icing on the cake was like we're at the game or at our friend's house watching the game. And then like a mutual friend like texts our friend. They're like, yeah, we saw Heath on the highway with the scooter. So it's not like, oh, let me just like make up this story. Like there's people like look at this asshole go. And they're like, oh my God, I know that.
I'm not saying it's I don't believe in coincidence, but I'm just saying like 2 days later,
Yeah,
Dallas,
like the bird scooter shut down like the next day, and they're like, it's Heath's fault.
There you go.
Yeah.
Making changes.
Hey Jeff, just lawyer hat on. What's the statute of limitations on that one? Do we
this one?
do we need to like destroy this SIM card now or what?
No, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. So then I went to San Diego, like, I would say like a year or 2 years later, and I met one of my Navy buddies there. And same thing, I like landed, and I was like, they were in like Mission Valley. So I was like, I got stationed there for like 9 months or was stuck there, I should say. So I was like, I know the lay of the land a little bit. So I was like, let me just, nostalgic going down Rosecrans, kind of like, Anchorman, stay classy, San Diego. So I was like, I'll just take a bird scooter to the Airbnb that they got. And so same thing, like I have the directions on my phone and I'm on the phone with the same buddy. So I was like, hey, like you're going to be a part of this again. And then next thing you know, I'm like following the GPS while riding the scooter, which is somewhat talent if I have to do say so myself. And the next thing you know, I'm on the 5, which is like even a worse highway to be on. And I stayed on that thing, dude. I was on there for like 3 miles just getting after it, getting honked at by like everybody. But then like following the GPS, I was like, oh, I'm never going to make it. Or my bird scooter account's going to be like $200. So I got off and just got a lift to my friend's Airbnb. Yeah, so I was like, all right, so I've taken one on like 2 major highways. I parked them.
What's next?
Yeah, well, I haven't seen them in like forever, so I don't even know if they're a thing anymore, but I parked it in case the bird CEO's like, oh, what do you do with it? Be like, I parked it like I'm supposed to, took the photo. I didn't damage it, just took it for a joyride.
Cue the song. The bird's the word. Because this has been the topic for like 10 minutes. The bird's the word at the bird scooters.
Bird is the word.
I actually carried Heath many miles.
That's 3 a.m. in a neighborhood in Dallas. That was after another American Airlines center.
That was after another hockey game. That was when we beat the Avalanche, I think. Yeah.
Fuck the Avs.
Dude, yeah, Colorado's trash.
Hey, McKinnon, cry about it.
I'm so glad that we beat them, dude, in Game 7, baby.
Keep seeing commercials, right? There's like 3 different commercials that keep playing during the NHL playoffs, and it's like one's like McCarr, like doing some like I don't know, like insurance thing. It's like, oh, I didn't miss out on my insurance, and I'm like, you missed out on the playoffs, bitch. And there's another one of the dudes like got an Av shirt on, and it's like his kids, fucking shit up in the background. And I'm just like, you know what else you missed? The playoffs, bitch.
I love it, dude.
Go Stars.
Yeah, so like same thing, like same buddy. Hence, it's funny. I'm gonna see this buddy later. So just great things happen when I link up with certain people. But we like partied hard because it was like somebody's birthday too. So it was like both like Stars winning in epic fashion, birthday. And then like we go out, and then
Like the ass.
and somehow like I get separated from my buddy. But instead of calling my buddy to like see where he's at, I call my buddy in Hawaii to be like, I'm lost. And he was like, why are you calling me? I was like, so you can help me find my buddy. He's like, I hate you. Like that's the asshole that I am. I'm like, don't call somebody that's in the same continent. Let's call somebody who's 7,000 miles away. So then he calls my buddy and was like, where's Heath? And he's like, I'm trying to find him. So then they're like, stay at this corner. So I would stay there for a minute. But then in my mind, I'm like, I'm just going to start walking. Like, I know I'm going to run into him. Like, there's no way I'm not going to go run into him. But I never did.
Let's just for a second. So just want, all right, it's your instructor here. So when you get lost in the woods or you get lost somewhere you don't know, the first thing you should do is stay put.
And fire off a pencil.
Yeah.
fire,
That's
right?
desert survival too.
Yeah. I was not an Eagle Scout.
They don't need to know that stuff on the submarine. You know what I'm saying? They don't need to know how to survive in the cold.
Saying put already.
They just told me, they're like, turn left. We're turning left, turn right. Yeah. So I just, on faith, I was like, I'm going to run into my buddy. I have to. And so then like my phone starts to die, and then it eventually dies. And that's when I'm like, no, because we had left our buddy's girlfriend at the time's like house, like, and all I can remember was on Lemon Street. So I'm like, I just got to find Lemon Street, and like Lemon Street can't be that fucking long. And
In Dallas.
yeah, but then like trying to find Lemon Street just like was a quest in itself. And I traveled many miles in my sandals. And at some point I like was just across 75. I wasn't even close. And I was in like a decent neighborhood. And I was just like in somebody's driveway, and I just laid there for like 35 minutes just contemplating life. I was just like, you are an absolute idiot. Like, this is why we have all these problems in our life, is because we can't, have limitations and everything else. But then, I was like, all right, we got to we're gonna do this. We're not gonna, we're not quitters. And after like, again, just like going and asking like random people, I'm like, hey, do you know where Lemon Street is? But again, it's 2020. So like, there's nobody. So when I finally found somebody, I like flagged them down.
It wasn't like it was at noon. It was
It's
like
4 a.m.
4 a.m. Random people.
I
were
can't
out their
find
windows
anybody
going,
at
"This
4
guy's
a.m. What
talking
is
to
wrong
himself."
with the world?
So I finally find Lemon Street. I finally make it there, and like I look like absolute shit. And I knock on the door, and my buddy opens it. No words are had. I just go to like their little couch, plop down, and I'm like, we're gonna sleep this off, and we'll have a debrief in the morning. So yeah, I was happy that I didn't get mugged or die. And since then, I have not gone on a quest like that. And honestly, I don't really care to do those quests anymore, because
I mean, it sounds like you have all the skills required to be a good second lieutenant already. Like already built in. Like you missed your calling.
yeah, I might have. I was like, oh, parents are Navy, we're gonna go Navy, but yeah, maybe I should have gone, Marine Corps. But no, because then I'd just eaten a bunch of crayons, and
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, so
Red's his favorite flavor.
100% it is.
But it's good that you can have friends you can count, real friends, people you can count on when
Real,
shit hits.
yes.
It's like
They're gonna
things
give
are-
me their crayons too.
That's right, because it's like, you don't like to tell people bad news, because half the people you tell don't care, and the other half are glad you got problems.
Oh yeah, that.
They're worse off.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
or again, you always have, it's like, you ask for like, hey, I need a favor, and it's like, well, how does this benefit me? You're like,
Yeah.
or you can just help me. Like, again, like you can't always, help, or sometimes you don't know, and you're like, dude, I'm so sorry. Or, there's times where it's like conflicting things, and like, right, you have to make a decision. You're just like, I can't be there on this, but like, let me find a way to make it up to you, or, something, again, that way you show that person, because it's always like that, old saying, like, people remember who like show up, like for those special, like rare occasions. And again, to have that opportunity, that blessing, to be there is one thing, but again, to make it a priority, because again, for some people, and what I've learned too is like, it just doesn't register with them though. But again, I think in a sense, we are all, vets. We've had like that, sense of serving. So we have that instilled in us. And there's just some people, they're not bad people. It doesn't click in their brain.
Yeah.
And you're over here like, how
They're
does it-
missing that piece.
Yeah, you're like, how does it not? But it doesn't register with them. So again, you can't really be mad at them for that. But again, that's when you're just like, okay, like at 3 a.m., I'm not going to call you.
Well, you can call me.
It's a very fine line, because like as men, it's like, okay, we reach out to our parents and we got our close knit brothers, but then outside of that, it's like, yeah, who do you reach out to? And then this is just my counselor background speaking into it. Like, I did the internship at the homeless shelter, and I led a men's group there, and a lot of the guys, they like I was their person to talk to, and that was it. And that was very sobering for me because I'm like, yeah, like we have each other. We're veterans. We're in this fraternity and this tight knit group.
Yeah.
But then you have the rest of the population, and they don't have this background, and they have their wife, and maybe they were divorced at one point, and then they just devolve or spiral into isolation, despair, alcohol, depression, like XYZ thing, and it's heartbreaking.
I thought we were done talking about Heath.
I was doing fine until you said my name wrong. Now I'm gonna go chase taillights.
I just
remember we were talking
why,
about true friends. You can count on you.
I just want to know, why is Kenny's cack out?
C-A-C-C.
Put your cack away, man.
I tinker with stuff.
Nowhere for you to plug it in.
And real friends will do things. Well, they'll rally for you, even if you don't know it. Like, say you're at Heath's going away party. Yeah, at the truck yard in Dallas.
Oh, that was a fun night.
Yeah, and we're all having a great time. And one of our beloved friends is there, our brothers, and he's there. He just goes missing. And we're like, he didn't say hi, bye, kiss my ass, nothing to anybody. Yeah. He just goes missing. And we're like, where the hell's Travis? And so everybody stops. Everybody starts looking for Travis. We're walking through parking lots. I walked like 2 blocks. Travis! Looking in the hedges. Maybe he fell over and he's drunk in the head.
Yeah.
No, you know where he was? Doing 100 miles an hour down the road to his next Uber pickup. Didn't say hi, bye, kiss her. We're out there looking for people. Are walking around the parking lots. Don't even know Travis. They're like, Travis.
They were down for the cause though.
That's Irish goodbye. You don't want to say goodbye. You just like till the next one, boys.
That was a good night. Good times.
Yeah, that makes me think of the long Texas goodbye. I'm kind of new to it, right? The long Texas goodbye. My wife excels at it. It's something that is a way that she communicates with her family.
I'll say, please explain it, because I don't know if I know this.
You don't know? It's like, okay, well, we got to head home or whatever, and you pat them.
Let me get you that casserole I made.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, go get that. Oh, did you hear what was happening with my favorite sports team?
No.
And, and
I get it now. I get it.
And don't forget about next weekend when we're supposed to get together, and you're like, it's a 30-minute to 45-minute process.
Yeah.
And I don't play any of those games, so I'm just like, bye. Slam the door, go get in the truck. And if you've ever been on the phone with me, it's the same thing. I'm like, bye, click. In the same motion.
My buddy has like this running joke because like we'll race each other now because like I'm notorious at that. We're like, all right, love you, bye, and hang up. They're like, dude, what the hell? And I was like, I told you, love you, bye. Which like again, I always try to make a point because you just never know. So they can always be like, what was the last thing he said? You'd be like, that he loved me.
Love you, bye.
Yeah, love you, bye. But no, that makes sense. You're almost over here like, all right, so you have like the first goodbye, so it starts the momentum of like the actual goodbye. So that way, if you need to be somewhere, you can still be out on time, and you'd said all the goodbyes. Because if you wait and you're like, oh, we got to leave at 2:30, and you start that goodbye at 2:25, you ain't leaving until 3. Yeah,
right.
Aaron knows this. Yeah. He probably, the first time he's probably sitting there, he's like, how many times you guys gonna say goodbye? Like, geez,
we're only on the
Louise.
3rd one. Come on.
Yeah.
It's not even a hangout session. It's just a goodbye session.
So it's like second breakfast for hobbits.
Yeah,
I'm
and
such a fucking nerd.
But all the hobby like, I'm going on an adventure. Be like, no, come back. Because again, like in the friend groups that like get drunk, there's always like the runner, and you're like, damn it. I was never like the runner. I would just get lost sometimes. But like, just like in life, just got lost and I found my way.
And you're still here today.
Because we put an air tag in his ass. We're not looking for this guy anymore at 3 a.m.
Flashing red light on it, so when he's going down the highway, they can see him.
35 on the tollway.
Oh, my goodness. That's some good stories. Well, what about rope and choke? You're going to tell us about that story? That's one of my favorites.
It's one of your favorites, the time I almost died. Yeah, so...
I don't like that you almost died.
Yeah, I was just I don't know what part of the story you like. So I was on a submarine out in Guam, and I had the privilege of being one of the lookouts, which is anybody that knows to be, outside of the boat, on top of the water, kind of just going out into the horizon. It's just a surreal thing. And then
I bet
having the dolphins, jump in front of the bow again. It's just amazing.
Now, you're confused. You might confuse some of the listeners that aren't Navy vets. You were on a submarine, not a real boat, right?
Yeah. Well, Well,
there we go. That's Navy on Navy humor.
Hey, I was aircraft carriers. Okay, we got a big.
But no, you could
Jeff
flesh
was in
it out a
Top
little
Gun.
bit because I've heard the
right,
short brief version, but it's nice to hear about the dolphins and the
No,
sunset
yeah.
and-
Again, for me, like just being up there and like catching a sunrise or a sunset. Again, I'm like an old soul, so again, just like to have that moment. And again, you're only up there with the officer of the deck, so it's like and God basically. So there's not a lot of sounds, just hear the waves crashing, and again, it's just like you just try to like live in that moment. And I'll definitely like just when I'm going to sleep sometimes or. When I go to the beach and just be like, wow, like I used to, be out there, like seeing that kind of stuff. And so basically what you'd have to do is, you have to rig the bridge for surface or, rig it for dive. And so we'd have like these little stanchions up there. So I would, break them down, you pass them down, stow them and all that good stuff.
for like radio antennas or.
So like they have like the masts and stuff. And those obviously, I'm not a radio man, nor was I. Shout out to all the radio men out there. So I don't know the configurations, all that, but right, they raise and lower. Everybody's seen a scope before. Again, you can see that, right? So when you're up there, though, you gotta latch in for safety just in case you go to fall overboard. The harness that you have on will catch you so you don't literally fall overboard because there's not a lot of room up there. And so on this particular day, like the wind was pretty strong, obviously out to sea, right? And so the way they designed it, like we had like a little radar and it's spinning. And again, that just like, helps for them to see stuff and everything. And I had my back turned to it and I'm like breaking down this stanchion. And next thing you know, I feel like this pull and it like the radar had like caught my lanyard or my harness and basically like started bone constricting me. So like it pulled me off the boat and then pulled me on. And then it pulls me like next to like, the pole itself. And then, so initially like they thought I fell overboard. So like they grabbed me and I'm like, no, like it's got me. And so then like I'm on this like just radar that's continuing to rotate.
You're like tied to a tree and it's spinning.
Choked out.
It's getting tighter and tighter. And so like I'm trying to hold it because it's like around my neck. And so like I'm holding it. And so then like the officer deck like calls down like in a frantic. He's like, secure it, like secure the radar. And thankfully, the guy that was operating was like, let me just unplug it. Because, like, probably like 3 or 4 more rotations, it probably like strangle me to death.
Oh
and they
my
would
gosh.
pull right back in and drop my dead body off, with a nice American flag to send home. And then they'd gone back out to sea. But I told that story. And I also talked about how I was like the PT guy and did all the fitness. And
Right.
obviously, in the military, one thing you have to do is you have to measure the fatties to make sure that they're within their BMI standards. So between, having to do that and getting choked out by the radar, that was how I got rope and choke.
Well, and thank you for sharing that story. But the most fun I had was watching Travis when you told the story.
Well, Travis was cracking up because he's like, that's how I jerk off all the time. He was like,
you ever tried it?
he's like, I know that feeling. He's like, you get to that point, and you're like, ooh, gotta get off of it.
I was thinking about like at your funeral, they hand over the flag and they're like, yeah, he wasn't a hero. He died in the dumbest
Right,
way you
exactly.
possibly
You
think.
can't sit here and be like, oh, he
But,
died for his country. Like, he died because he's an idiot. Yeah, no, trust me, I thought about that too. I'm like, that is so, like, just like depressing. So, again, I'm glad that didn't happen because then
Yes.
I wouldn't be here. So, but yeah, that's how I got rope and choke. And I love it too because, like, on our graduation, what do they call them? Or stoles, like, we all had our names. So, like, I still have mine around the champagne bottle that I popped when I graduated. So, again, it's just like that nostalgia stuff. But again, like, as you guys know too, like some of the best friendships that I have are like the guys on the boat. Because again, like it's unfortunately like pretty miserable down there, as you can imagine, right? With any person that's in a hole in the desert or on the carrier or what have you.
Beard hairs is on this thing.
So again, the friendships and the brotherhood that you make is just it's worth it. Like to me, like when I look back and the thing that I take away the most from that experience was like also you gained knowledge, experience and these things, but the friendships that you made were just iconic and legendary. And just to have those again, because like misery loves company. So when you suffer through long underways or just the BS, but then it's like we went through it together and we battled. So then when you get out, you're always like, hey, remember like this time, like this was way worse than this current moment. Like this too shall pass. Like we're gonna get through this. And so just having that, like, again, kind of cornerstone, that foundation that, when you're having a rough day, you like call an old sailor buddy or an old college buddy or what, the friend, be like, hey, man, like, just can you let me vent? Can you let me talk? Let's talk these things out. And again, they just remind you, like, it's going to be okay and you get through. Because again, like, as you guys know, too, like, suicide rate for men is, like, extremely high. It's really sad. And now, like, my job being, like, in the first responder world, like, I've already seen, quite a bit of that, which again is just really unfortunate. But it's like it's out there and it's happening. So it just kind of makes you have that perspective. So then if you haven't called a buddy in a while, you're like, let me call him, tell him that I love him. And then obviously, after a certain while, like, there's certain friendships that, maybe got lost or you did something that kind of ruined it, because I've done that, and it obviously stings and hurts, but you're like, man, I hope one day that maybe I'll get an opportunity to like say sorry, or, you've said sorry, but like they're actually ready to like have that conversation. So then you could be friends again. I always hope for that. But again, there's a lot of men out there that don't have what we have, unfortunately. And then they do the thing and, that silent night of just, tears and sorrow and pain. And they make the mistake of, that they can't come back from. So,
Yeah.
Was it 22 a day, right? For
20, yeah.
veteran suicide?
Got the
I
braces
haven't
myself.
checked lately, but it's at least that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure which is crazy because that's a high number. But I mean, it happens all the time. It's really sad. So
But you're right about the friends. I mean, because it's a true friend. It doesn't matter if you talked to them last week, last month, last year, or since childhood.
mhm.
A true friend, you can call them up, talk to them, and you're right back to the day you left.
Yeah, 100%.
Just pick it right up where you left off.
Well, and like, after we leave here, we're going to go have dinner and kind of the same thing. We're going to see some other friends, and there's some people, right, I haven't seen in a year, and right when you see them, right back to where you were. But again, it's like incredible to have that. But then also, too, like, you try to not let so much time goes by, because then as you get older and you start to see friends, pass away and things like that, you're like, you don't want to take it for granted. So it's a continuous, it's like, battle every day. It's kind of like right when you choose your partner every day, right? Like, because love is not something that's just like, oh, it's glit and glamour and it's amazing all the time. Sometimes,
it's a decision.
Well, it's a decision, and right. Sometimes it's work, right? Like in any relationship is work, and you gotta put it in there, and you gotta show up. And when that person maybe is showing up 50%, you're like, don't worry, I got the other 100%. Like, and there's sometimes where you don't have it. They're like, all right, I'm gonna tote the line. Like, and like you said, it's a decision. Like, you have to have that mentality and continue, and that's across the board. And again, I just feel like I've been so fortunate to have, I guess, maybe that mindset. And again, I have a friend that will be there later tonight, and he's like, dude, you're just the guy that helps bring everybody together. And I was like, well, I really appreciate you saying that. I was like, that's very kind of you. And I was like, but again, you got to remember, a friendship, a relationship, it's a two-party system. It's a two-way street. I can sit here and be like, hey, let's meet up at this coffee shop. Let's meet at this bar. If they don't show, well, then it doesn't matter, because like that person didn't want to show also. But the fact that people do show up and want to be around me and other people and catch up, like that's what I love the absolute most. I mean, that is what gives me life. It's like, just recharging my batteries. And because of like that euphoria that you get, I'm like, I'm just going to continue to do that, because you see the happiness, you see what it does for other people. And you're like, why would I not try to continue to bring that? And again, for me, some people, they're just not the best communicators, and like it happens. But for me, like communicating isn't like a hard thing to do, especially with all the technology that we have. So I'm like, I'll happily take the 30 seconds to send a voice memo or a text or whatever, just to kind of keep
Monday motivationals.
Hey, yo, it's been a minute since I've done that. But again, I've been so busy just with work and school in my life, but always trying to send out, that positive reinforcement to the people I care about.
Remember when we were looking for ODS officer selections, and somebody wrote it up and said, hey, he should be the VP. And he was like, no, man. He goes, I don't even show up to all the meetings on time. I show up to all the meetings. And when I show up, I'm not always on time. And I pointed out to you, I was like, but Heath, you may not be the rock or the foundation of ODS, but you are the spirit of ODS. When you're here, it's a party. I don't care what we're doing, how bad of a day we're having. When he shows up, the party's on. That's the thing.
I do remember you saying that. That was very kind of you. But yeah, if it's fucking Kesha, the party don't start till I walk in.
Yeah, I can remember many ODS, Omega Delta Sigma, for those who don't know, but many of our events, like, He's going to be there? I mean, and me as the president, I'm like, he's going to be there? Well, damn, I guess we have to be there then. Or whatever. Like, I'm not going to miss out on that.
No, I appreciate it. The same buddy. This is the time where I met your buddy Ross for the first time, but we did a...
Good dude.
Fantastic guy.
He's about to be a commander.
Is he? Congratulations to him.
He's going to be commanding the... I don't know what squadron it is. He's going to be commanding one of the training squadrons down at Hurlburt Field.
Oh, that's excellent. But a buddy of mine, and he'll be there later today, we did a little cowboy watch party over, like, right across the street from where we're going to have dinner tonight over in the Star. And I had set the reservations, all this stuff, but again, we were running naturally late. But I was like, it's under my name. They got you. They'll go there. So they started filing in, and my buddy had brought his girlfriend at the time, now wife, and she hadn't met me yet, but she's like heard stories. So as people are like filing in, she's like, "Is that Heath?" And he was like, "No,
you'll know."
Right. The next person comes in, she's like, "Is that Heath?" And he literally he got to a point where he was like, "I promise you," he's like, "you'll know when Heath walks in." And he goes, "I shit you not." It was like 2 minutes later. He goes, "You walked in to this big ass bar and was just like, 'What up, motherfuckers?'"
Yeah.
And he's like, everybody turns, and he just goes, "And that's Heath." But it was just like, I didn't know he was over here like saying this stuff, but it's like a show where you just like deliver on cue. You're like, "Trust me, you'll know." And then it's just like, and then we had a great time. It was definitely a wild night that night.
Was that the night that Dak Prescott?
Yeah, he broke his. Yeah, my bar tab was $400 that day. Because remember, we had like that.
I would drink a whole bottle of TX.
Yeah,
that
you
night.
did. Yeah, because we had like this waiter, and we like bullied him to just like keep bringing us drinks. Like we were clearly like, yeah, over
Do
the
not
limit.
serve.
And I was like, "Keep them fucking coming, kid," and he did. And so yeah, that was a great day. But again, I just try to show up and be present. Because again, I think people really appreciate that. And so I just try to do that for other people. Because again, I really love the love and support that I get from everybody. For them doing that for me, I just want to be the best I can for them.
We were talking about dark humor, and how veterans have dark humor. It's innate. It's an innate quality, dark humor. And your rope and choke story, and how you got tied up by the radar mast, and it reminded me that when you guys were talking about, this is how I'm going to die. They're going to get. My mom's going to get a letter saying, "I'm sorry, your son was into bondage with a radar mast and got choked out."
We can't give you a flag. Sorry.
But I was on an aircraft carrier, and it was in the Atlantic in the winter, and that's not a good place to be.
That's cold as shit.
Yeah, oh, it storms.
Oh, I bet it does.
Dude, we had storms, and this is back in the day, because I'm old.
What year? Come on, just give us the
Yeah,
year.
he was on the Constitution. What you talking about? Oh, Ironsides.
Hey, I re-enlisted on that boat.
Back when the ships were wood.
Yeah, exactly.
This is back in the day when you could smoke on the ships.
Wow.
Beer.
Dude, and you could grow up. It was in the 80s, and it was a storm, and I had flight deck integrity watch at first, so I was up on the flight deck watching the water. Now, the aircraft carrier is 80 feet from the water line to the top.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you fall
Those
off,
things are incredible to do.
yeah, if you fall off of that thing, bye.
Mm-hmm.
They'll never see you again.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And I'm watching water crash over the bow as we're going through these waves. Boof. And it's like water's coming up over it. It's going everywhere, right? And I called out. I saw this one tow tractor. It was like I saw it every time we hit a big wave. Boom, and the ship would pitch and roll, and that tow tractor would go just sliding across this non-skid deck, a foot at a time, right?
Yeah.
Getting closer and closer to the edge. But
They were playing that in here.
yeah.
I know they were.
They were, yeah. And a tow tractor weighs 8,000 pounds. It doesn't look like it's that heavy, but it's towing around an airplane, so you have to have some weight in it,
Gotta
right?
have some ass behind that.
Yeah. And so the chief walks up, and it's raining. They open the door. It's just like in the movies. They close the door real quick, and here comes all the rain and the sea spray, and the waves crashed over the bow. And the chief of the watch comes up, and I said, "Hey, chief." And he goes, "Yeah, what's up?" I said, "See that tow tractor over on Cat 1?" And he goes, "Yeah, what about it?" I was like, "Well, a minute ago it was on Cat 2. It keeps moving. Every time we hit a wave, it goes over there, and he starts yelling at the blue shirts and everything. So they hate me now because I got to go out there and chain it down. And my watch is over, and I'm going back down into the berthing area, like deep into the bowels of the ship, and I'm down there, and we're sitting down there, and we're wet. Everybody smells bad. It's cramped quarters. Bunk beds are 2 beds usually. These are 3, and the bottom one's on the deck.
Yep, on the floor.
The top one's in the pipes in the overhang. And so we're sitting down there. We're huddled up. We're watching one TV that's hung in the corner.
I love this. I love everything about this.
Tell me this story, Jeff. Tell me.
And some asshole had taken a Coke can and tied a string to it and hung it from the pipes in the overhead. So every time the ship rolled one direction, you see that Coke can go almost 90 degrees. Almost 90 degrees, and they go back to 6 o'clock position, and then they go the other way. Almost 90 degrees, right? And so watch it. Everybody stinks. sitting on the deck, and it's like watching. Got your head craned to the left, looking at the TV in the corner, and you see that freaking Coke can out of the corner of your eye, and you're like, "Oh, I'm not feeling so good."
I bet you weren't.
I was like, I should probably go see the doc. So I got up, stepped up over 3 or 4 people to get to the passageway, went down to the galley where the doc's office was. I said, "Hey, has you got any of those motion sickness pills or anything like the seasickness pills?" And he goes, "Well, I can't give them to you for somebody else." I said, No, they're for me." He goes, "You don't look too bad. The last guy left here was green." And I was like, "Oh no, it's for me." And he goes, "Okay, well here, take these with food." And I was like, "All right." I was like, "You don't have to be so sinister about it,
Yeah.
So I got them, and I went over there, got in line at the chow hall, and they had a choice. They had super greasy or super spicy. And I was like, well, let's just go for the crackers and the cup of bug juice.
Nothing ever in between.
Yeah, so I got the Kool-Aid with no sugar in it, and a whole bunch of crackers. And I was eating the crackers and sipping on the bug juice, and I said, I don't feel so bad now. I got a little food in me, I took that pill, and then I went back to the birthing area, and just as soon as I sat down and I started looking at that TV up again, I saw that Coke can again, and my stomach started going. I was like, oh, I'm gonna puke. I'm gonna puke. And so I got up, stepped on several guys now to get out of the passageway, turned to the left, and because the head was right there down the passageway, I didn't make it. All in the passageway, right? All over the deck.
No. Come on.
Green.
No, it did not sound like that at all. It was more like, boop. And I don't even remember what color it was, man. I puked up like one of my testicles. I had to clean it up myself.
Yeah, of course. That's seasickness, man. It gets people.
Dude, I had to clean it up myself because that's not something you're going to push on somebody else.
So
So I had to go clean it up myself. Went ahead, got the paper towels and everything, cleaned it all up, and I said, you know what? I probably threw up that pill because it only been like 5 minutes since I took it. Right? I was like, I'll just take another one. Take these with food. As soon as that pill hit my stomach, I already got rid of everything. There wasn't anything left. I ran into the head because I wanted to clean it up twice, right? Ran into the head. I'm over the freaking toilet going, nothing's coming out, and I can't make myself stop.
You're just driving.
And I'm like, I said, oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm going to puke myself to death. And that thought was like, and my mom's going to get a letter. And what's it going to say?
Training accident.
She's not getting a flag either.
have y'all ever taken malaria pills? Oh my God, man, those things are the same thing. Oh my
Well,
God.
let me pause you, and we're going to take a break.
Come on. Well, I don't want to tell my story.
Okay, well, then what I was going to talk about was... Are you sure? Okay. I was going to talk about, since we're on this topic of what people say about you when you die, because I was already ready for Travis to back out. And that so now that I'm 51 years old, I'm thinking about people, and I'm like, people die in their sleep, or they die rescuing a building full of people, like a firefighter or something like that. I'm like, if I'm gonna die, I want it to be the coolest, quickest way, where they have to tell us the story. Like, how did he die? Like, I don't know. He took 10 bullets. He charged the guy, took his gun away. But anyway, so that's what I think about a lot. And I'm like, people that die, and surprisingly, people are dying all around me in their 50s and 60s.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like he died in a car accident. He didn't even know it was coming. I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds good. I could do that.
See, I'm just the opposite.
Oh yeah.
I'm
This is a good topic. All right,
of old age.
You're already there.
Well, almost.
It seems that way.
I just found out Aaron's got me beat by 1 year.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You look terrible.
No, actually, I'll be 60 this August.
1 year.
Well, it's one of many years.
That's fucking girl math. He's got girl math over here.
But I want to be surrounded by my family, all my kids, great grandkids, what have you, holding my wife's hand, and I want to see the angels in the room. I want to have a chance to say goodbye to all my loved ones.
For sure.
And it's like that's how my father-in-law died. He was a retired Navy chief, and he had a series of strokes. It just went to where they put him in a hospice. Finally, he died at the end of the month. He got every single penny of that Navy retirement check. He died at the end of the month at almost midnight. It was 11:30 at night, surrounded by his family, and he got his wife there of over 50 years was holding, holding his hand, man. And when he left, you could tell by looking at him when he left. And I just called it out, man. I was like, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, right.
Chief ADR departing.
Yeah.
Well, I like what the Spartan said in the movie 300, where he's like, one of those guys down there might be able to give me an honorable death. And that's why he was laughing and smiling. And I'm like, that's how I think about it.
Well, you know, we talked a few times about dark humor and all that. And, you know, some of the Spartans used to do before every battle, take a stick, like a piece of wood or something like that, and they write their name on both ends of it, break it in half. And then, as a Spartan, as a soldier, you'd hold on to one half of it, you take the other half and you put it in a basket. And then there was one guy that collected all the sticks from everybody. And then the battle would happen, you know. And after the battle's over, the guy with the basket that was in charge of that would go around. And if he died, you know, I guess he had a second or a third or whatever, walk around with the basket. And you'd get all your sticks out of it. You find your name. And then put your... you find your end of the stick that you broke off and put in the basket. You put it back together. And then all the sticks that were left in the basket, it was kind of like dog tags, right? Like
Yeah.
And all the sticks that were left in the basket were people that didn't make it. So they, I can't remember what they called it, but they had a name for it. And basically it was like this idea of when you put your name in that basket, you're putting aside all of the emotions, putting aside all of the feelings you might have about killing another human being, putting all that stuff aside. And when your other end is in that basket, you're in. It's go to work mode.
Yeah.
It's time to
compartmentalized.
Put all the
Totally
humanity into the
compartmentalized,
box,
exactly.
and now
Put
I get to
humanity
be a
in
killer.
there, and now it's time to go. And then once the battle's over, you take your stick and put it back together, and now it's your time to cry, and it's a time to get all of that out. And they would just sit there, and you know, they would after the battle's over, they just sit there and bawl and hold each other and cry and get all of that out.
And now we know why they lost.
Settle down. Settle down. Don't get bad on my Spartan.
But I mean, I don't know why it reminded me, you know, this dark humor thing. It's like, it's just the veterans' way of just compartmentalizing some of the shit that we go through. And everybody goes through shit, whether you cyber warfare, whether you're a submariner, everybody does. So it's,
I like retail therapy.
Retail therapy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, retail therapy.
There we go.
Man. You gotta go to Home Depot. Go to Home Depot. Go shopping for 6 feet of rope and a wobbly stool.
Same thing. Same thing. Just like the Spartans.
And use your veteran discount.
Get that veteran discount, 10%, baby. Home Depot.
I want that 8 cents off now.